This segment of Hak5 is brought to you by Ting.
That's the whole idea here. And so,
Okay.
this is really the basis for a lot of different protocols that we know and love and use all of the time. Like, for example, you know it as HTTPS, but it's called TLS, used to be called SSL, as well as like PGP or the open source implementation GPG, as well as...
Oh, that's the thing you use in Gmail. So whenever somebody's sending me one of those garbled messages, it's actually some kind of key.
Right, actually, here's the beautiful thing about this. In this scenario where I keep my private key to myself, right, and I give you the public key, you can now encrypt a message with it, send it to me, and I can decrypt it with this private key. But let's reverse the tables. Say I give you this key, right?
Okay.
And now I publish something with this. You can actually, like say I put a signature string using this, you can make sure that I am who I say I am with that key.
Whenever I receive that message from you.
Yeah,
okay,
we're going to get into that when we start talking about
total
GPG
tangent.
and PGP. I know that's totally a tangent, but maybe it's foreshadowing. How's that? It's actually also used for Bitcoins.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I wish we could accept those in the hack shop. Like, there's no payment processor that has touched it.
Yeah, I know.
But it's used in a ton of protocols, and it's good stuff. And SSH2 supports at least 2 different methods of doing this public key authentication.
What are those?
Well, like I said, this is the basic idea of how it works, but there's a couple of different implementations, as there always is. And so, like HD, DVD, and Blu-ray, actually, I'm joking, that's a horrible way to represent this. But, one of which is very popular, and it's known as RSA.
Yes.
And RSA is named after their creators. Back in 1978, this hit the scene, and it's by Rivest, Samir, and Edelman, and I hope that I did not butcher those names. But they came up with this algorithm based on basically the difficulty of factoring large integers. Okay. And in this case, and this is the math bit that's very hard, and we're going to be like back in the napkining this thing, the public key in this case is devised by the product of two large tracks of prime numbers, as well as auxiliary values. And so when you create that public key using that method, the private key is inherently derived from those prime factors used to create the private key. So what it is it's computationally difficult in the case that you only have the public key, so you're the feds or whatever, and you sniff this off the wire or whatever, you get the public key, right? It is computationally damn near, well, I won't say impossible, but it's going to take you a long time.
It's not impossible, but it'll take forever. Okay,
yes.
Got it.
And so that's the idea with RSA, but there's also another implementation called DSA that's very popular, and SSH version 2 is going to support at least these two. There are a couple of other ones. I forget, it's like X.502 or something.
Yeah.
There are always others, kind of like the GSS API.
Okay.
But these are the two main ones, just like password and public key crypto is the main methods we like to use.
What's the difference?
Well, DSA is another algorithm to come up with these key pairs, and it's called Digital Signature Algorithm, and it's actually an FIPC standard. It
Something
stands
like
for Federal Information Processing Standard.
Okay.
And so this is a standard that the government uses, like the NSA and the FBI and everybody else.
Oh, okay. So it's a good standard.
Yes, it is. No, I'm being serious. Both of these are great standards, and some people would argue, of course, just like anything else, there's going to be a flame war, and some people say that DSA is the best, and other people say that, dude, what are you smoking? And it's all about RSA. But whichever way you want to go. I mean, the thing with DSA is it was patented by David Kravitz. He's a former NSA employee. And the cool thing about this is it is freely available for anyone in the world to use.
Oh, that's
just
cool.
like RSA.
Yeah.
So
okay,
those are the two.
Whenever I am setting up my public and private key for my SSH server, I can't mix and match. I have to use one or the other.
Yeah. You can't create a public key with RSA and then a private key with DSA and expect them
I figured.
That's not how it works.
They can't speak to each other, basically. Okay, cool.
No, but that's and this is really beautiful because this is the underpinning of so many different technologies, and we're going to be coming back to this, and then later we can get way more in depth into this big question mark, which is math. But for right now, practically speaking, this is the way that it works, and why we have these things, and why we can have a symmetric key crypto.
Yes. Got it. All right.
Okay, so now stay tuned, because in just a bit, Shannon is going to be setting up Windows to do key-based authentication with Putty. But first, we're going to take a quick break. You guys know as well as I do that the mobile phone experience includes a lot of headache, a lot of confusion, and powerlessness when the plans are just littered with hidden fees and steep penalties, stupid rules, unnecessary premiums, and the bottom line is that as a consumer, you're either overpaying or being underserved. Now, Ting is a new service brought to you by some cool geeks up in Canada that bring us clarity, usability, and big savings to mobile phone users. And they've built a service based on the Sprint network. So they're offering 4G Android phones to create a customer experience like no other. And the support folks are smart, passionate, and will actually empower you to solve problems. Not some automated phone tree, because who loves those? Most importantly, Ting has one simple plan that offers fair and honest pricing. Get this, megabytes, minutes, and text messages, each of them billed separately. If you use less than you anticipated, it's no big deal. They're gonna credit you the difference at the end of the month. And if you use more, they're simply gonna bump you up to the next appropriate plan without any premiums or hidden penalties. Just head over to ting.com/hak5 and check out their online savings calculator, and you'll see why I really don't leave home without my Ting modem. You know how I feel about Wi-Fi, but seriously, this stuff is awesome for that. And they're gonna hook you up with up to $75 off your first month if you sign up at ting.com/hak5.
Time for some practical uses of the private and public key pairing.
Nice.
Yay! So I'm going to do this in Windows, which I'm assuming you can also do in Linux as well.
We'll talk about that next week, but yes.
Sweet. Okay, so this is going to be the private and public key generating that I'm going to do in Putty. So what you need, first of all, is to download this Putty Key Generator, and you can just Google it.
This comes with Putty, right? Or do you have to get it separately? It's been a while since I've done SSH in Windows.
I had to install Putty separately. I already had the Putty Key Gen on my computer from like way back in the day, so I'm assuming they're separate.
Okay.
But not completely sure on that. Anyway, so this is going to create your key pair, and it's an authorization to log onto the server. Yay! So what you need to do is generate a public-private key pair. You click Generate, and it asks you to move your mouse around. So it's kind of like TrueCrypt.
Yeah.
At the beginning of creating a TrueCrypt one.
going on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so once you've created it, it gives you your public key for pasting into open SSH authorized keys. So I want to save this, save my public key, and I'm just going to save it on the desktop for now so it's easy to find, and I'll call it public. And then I also want to save my private key. And it asks me, are you sure we want to save this key without a passphrase to protect it?
So you probably want to give it a passphrase.
So up here, you choose your key passphrase, and I'm going to, let's see.
Give it something long and good.
Yeah, something with a bunch of ones and zeros.
And exclamation points.
Oh yeah, all that good stuff. So that's where you put in your key passphrase, and then you save it onto your desktop. And
of course, you would want to save this somewhere secure.
Right. So if I wasn't doing a segment on this, I would probably just, encrypt it inside of nice TrueCrypt volume and then hide that somewhere in the back ends of my computer.
We'll put that on a USB drive and then put it, make a backup copy. So if you ever lose that, safety deposit box, plausible deniability, TrueCrypt, good stuff. All right. Encrypt all the things. Encrypt all the things. All right, let's keep going.
Okay, so now that I have both of those generated and saved on my computer, hopefully in a nice TrueCrypt volume somewhere, I need to actually get back into the server. And this is what I did last week. I actually created the ddk.hak5.org.
That's the host.
Yeah, so I created that host on my machine that I could connect to. So I click Load and go to Open.
And so you already have it set for the host as Snubsy at the host name.
Yes.
So it already knows your username. You don't have to type that in.
Right. So which if you didn't, you would have to add that at the beginning of it.
Yep.
So if you don't already have a user already created, you need to go ahead and do that with the add user command, and that's just ADD-USER and press enter.
Yeah, and then you're also going to have to set up a password for that user using passwd space the username. We'll get into more of that on the server side.
Right.
The idea here is, well, first and foremost, and I'll talk about this on the server side in a minute, you're not going to do this as root. Putting that out there.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that I'm logged on, I need to make a new directory called .ssh. And this is going to be, let's see, mkdir, I think it is, .ssh. Just enter.
Hooray.
And it should be there.
Yep, it's there.
And I can click, what is it, ls to check if it's there. Okay, so there it is.
Yeah, in fact, do ls with a tag la. That'll give you a list of all of the things there. And so
there's .ssh.
Right, and so the next thing that you're going to need to do is change the mode of this file.
Okay.
And you're going to do a chmod 700 to it. And I'll probably just take this moment to explain that in the Unix world, there are 3 levels of permissions for files and directories. You know, there's the owner, in this case, you.
Me.
There are groups, like any group that, say we could have a Hak5 group that you were part of, and Paul and myself were a part of. And then there's the world, aka everyone. I like to think of it as the overworld, like an RPG. Yeah.
So I'm like the admin?
There you go. Well, you're the admin of that file. And so you get to choose who has permissions for those, you know, to actually work with that file or directory.
These are the modes.
And those are the modes.
Okay, got it.
So you did an ls tech la, and you see the
.ssh one is currently, here are the different modes that it is. So it's DRWXR for the user, XR for the group, and X for the world.
Yes, so there are 10 characters for the file's attributes. Now the first character represents what type of a file it is. Say
and this one's a D for directory.
D for directory. If it's a dash, then it's just a normal file. There are also a couple others if it's like a symbolic link or a few other weird ones there. The next 9 characters are going to specify the read, or R, write, or W, and execute, or X, permissions for the owners, the groups, and the world. So 3, 3, and 3.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
So
I mean, you wouldn't have the world be able to do everything, would you?
No, especially not to your keys, you know?
Okay, so 700 .ssh. Press enter.
Okay, so now do that list again.
Tag LA.
And
so now
notice,
I'm set. Oh, okay. So now I still have my settings.
All right. So your change mode in this case, change
those are gone.
It lets you easily change the permissions of a directory or a file. And change mode will actually accept an octal representation of those modes. And we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty of what all of that means, but basically in this case, 700 represents readable, writable, and executable for the owner, in this case Shannon, and nothing for anyone else.
Cool. All right.
Yes.
Awesome. I get it. Okay, so now that I have that set up, I've changed the directory, so I'm the only person that can do pretty much anything to it. I need to change my directory over to the .ssh folder. So now I'm in .ssh. And what is that tilde right there? Is that home?
Yeah, tilde is home. So if you type CD and hit enter, you're going to go back home. There's no place like
it. Yeah, it works the same as in Linux. Duh. Okay.
Well, you are in Linux.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing. cdk.hak5.org is a Linux virtual private server from domain.com.
So now I'm creating a file. Yeah, awesome. So now I need to create a file called authorize keys 2 with the public key on one line saved in this nice, pretty file. And then I have to add SSH TAC RSA at the beginning of that public key.
Okay.
So that basically means I can just upload my little notepad, right?
That's what that means, yeah.
All right. So let's see.
Well, the easiest
I guess I need to open this first.
Yeah, open that notepad.
And notepad. Yeah, well.
It's not going to let you because it doesn't have an extension.
So here's my new one.
Yeah, all that's on one line.
Awesome. It's all on one line. Sweet. My awesome public key. Look, everybody, here's my public key. And then at the beginning of this, right here, I need to add SSH TAC RSA because that's what kind of key it is. Do I need a space right there?
Yep.
Okay, let's add a space. Then we'll copy this all the way over here.
all the way up into the equal sign. You want to keep the equal
Yeah, we
sign.
don't care about the end public key. That's just for our knowledge. So I copied that into my clipboard. And now I need to actually make the file in here.
So I like to use Nano. You can also use Vi, Vim. You can echo it into there. If you do Nano space TACW for word wrap.
Word wrap, okay.
This is the thing, is this all has to be on one line, so you're going to need it to be
is that what I do?
TACW. Yep. And then authorize keys too. This is one way to do it.
And it opens up Nano.
Yeah, which is like a text editor. So now you can just go ahead and paste that by right-clicking.
Awesome.
And then make sure all of that's on one line now.
Oh, I can't use my little clicky mouse. Oh, that wasn't on one line. I'm glad we're checking. This would be a pain in the butt after saving it. Okay, so now it's all on one line.
Hooray!
Guessing that line above it doesn't matter.
Is there a line above it?
It's not going up for me.
On the function, home, hit up. Yeah, that's the top line.
Sweet. Okay, so we're good with that. And then I need to save it, so I hit Control, let's see, O, write out, which makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Authorize keys 2, wrote one line. Awesome.
Perfect.
And then Control, let's see, what's X? X to exit. Sweet.
Cool. And so, like, if you do an ls, you'll see that it's there, and if you cat it, you'll see that it's got your file, your stuff inside of it.
I have my new file. It's all ready to go. Okay, so the public key is officially on the server now.
All right.
Awesome. So now we need to set up the private key, right?
Yes. So how do you do that in Windows?
We need to open up a program called Pageant, which is included with Putty.
You mean the Putty agent?
Oh, is that what it stands for?
I don't know. I'm just going to call it the Pageant or the
Well,
Pageant.
it's spelled just like a beauty pageant or something.
Well, maybe it's a private key pageant. Maybe they all go parading around with their little bows.
Whatever, man. Okay, so here's my little pageant. So I right-click on that, go to Add Key, Private, Open, and it asks me for my key.
Your passphrase?
Yes, my passphrase.
And so now your private key is in memory. If you do view it.
Oh yeah, it's there.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Sweet. And so you've already used your passphrase to unlock this. It's in memory.
Yes.
Of course, if you reboot, it's not going to be there. You're going to have to open this again, do it again.
I have to reconnect now.
Yes.
So go ahead and exit this.
And so last time you used a password, but now you should be able to open up Putty.
Reload.
And you can see you've got
And this is where I actually had to put snubsy at this point, or else it wasn't going to work right.
Yes.
So I open
that.
Authenticating from agent.
And there you go, you're logged in.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah, and since you've already saved in your Putty profile all of the stuff for your dynamic tunnel, you don't have to do that again.
Yes, dude, this is great. I mean, this is perfect. I don't have to put in my password. That's so much more secure.
Well, you have to use your passphrase to unlock your private key and put that into memory. And so when you reboot, you're going to have to do that again. Yeah. But potentially, you could use the same key pair for a lot of different servers, so you wouldn't have to type in that password a whole lot.
Totally doing this for conventions now.
Well, you know what's beautiful is
I can get on the internet at DEF CON.
But with Plink, we could make this a batch file, and anyway, we could really automate this stuff. But we'll talk about that when we get into persistence.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Well, what do you guys think? I think that was awesome. I'm so excited. Yay.
Yes.
I'm learning so much this week. So you guys can email us over at feedback@hak5.org, and you can comment below about all the awesomeness that is included in private and public keys.
And stay tuned, because in just a bit, we're going to be talking about setting up SSHD in Linux and some things that you should know about when it comes to that, some best practices. Oh yeah, stay tuned, we'll be right back.